A lot of people are wondering what's going to happen to America. Are we on a inevitable crash course with destruction, or are we on the verge of maybe a rebirth of our nation in a way and a reason to have hope for the future? A lot of people don't know this, but actually the Bible has God telling us what his policy is in dealing with nations. This is from Jeremiah chapter 18, starting in verse 8 or 7, excuse me. There are times when I threaten to uproot, to tear down, and to destroy a nation or kingdom. But if that nation I threaten stops doing wrong, I will cancel the destruction I intended to do to it. Verse 9, and there are times when I promise to build up and establish a nation or kingdom. But if that nation does what displeases me and does not obey me, then I'll cancel the good that I promised to do to it. So we don't know all the particulars. We don't know all the details and the mechanisms, but God says, the determining factor, as I'm letting nations rise and fall, is the state of the people's hearts. And sometimes God even plans destruction. And I fear that that's been the case with America, that because we've gone so far in our wickedness, God has planned a destruction for us. But he says here, if that nation turns, I'll change my plans. I'll cancel that and I'll turn and do it good. And conversely, if he's promised to do good, but then they all go evil, he's like, well, I'll change my plans and destroy them. So I want to put this in our head because the determining factor, yes, it may be God may use whoever he puts in leadership after our vote here in either direction here. But the determining factor for the good of America is going to be how many hearts are turned to him. How many hearts have gone back to him and said, I've sinned, please forgive me. Jesus, teach me to follow you and walk in your ways. If God sees enough people like that, then even if he has planned destruction, he says here that he changes his plans and he'll decide to bless us instead. So yes, it's good to go out and vote, be responsible with the privilege you have to influence some things. But at the end of the day, we have to pray, is my heart right with God? And we have to go to people and preach the gospel to them. Tell them, turn to Jesus. He'll forgive you. We need to turn back to him and learn to obey him. And that will be the determining factor. So please think about where you're at with God. Tell others and spread this message.